All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Oh, I'm glad you could join us. We're here today with Jim Dailing, and we're going to do a live demo on creating a seamless ring using probably a ancient bench technique called fusing. Jim is a well-known jewelry artist and instructor residing in Bend, Oregon. Does excellent custom work. I've known him for a long time, and he's actually overall a pretty good guy. So we're gonna work on this. We're live on YouTube. A couple of things I want to try and remember to say. We're live on YouTube. If you have questions, if you're watching this live right now, you can use YouTube chat function to come in and ask questions while we're doing the demonstration. If you have my email, actually, let me give it. It's Gary at GaryDawsonDesigns.com. If you wanted to email questions in, if that's easier for you for some reason, you can do that. I'm not going to say my phone number out here, but if you have it, you could probably text questions during the demonstration too, and I can then relay them to Jim as he's going. Jim, you want to say anything before we actually get started with the live demo?
Yeah, first off, Gary, I'm so happy and excited to be a part of this with you. We have known each other for a long time, and I won't say how long because that would give our ages away, which I don't really want to think about. But just real quick, I've been making jewelry professionally since 1984. My first job, professional gig, so to speak, was for Maui Divers in Honolulu. And I've been teaching at the university level as well as intensive workshops around the country for quite a while. And I just love sharing the excitement that I have for making. So, shall we get going, Gary?
Yeah, let me just say, right now, one more thing I want to announce, and then maybe I'll remember to mention this in the end, but I don't want to forget. We're trying to keep this live for our audience. And so, if you're potential sponsor watching this, we'd love to gain some sponsors over the next month or two while we're putting this whole thing together. And or if you feel like there's a presentation that you'd like to do relevant to bench. And we have three tracks. We have bench skills, which we're doing today. We have tech skills, which might involve CAD and or 3D printing kind of stuff. And then we have business skills because the presumption here is that most bench jewelers, even if you're working for somebody else right now, would probably prefer to have your own business. Okay, so with all that being said, let's move to the demo section.
All right. Well, many of you are probably familiar with our Gentium silver and its ability to fuse seamlessly, which works so great for things like granulation and such. But about 25, 30 years ago, I started doing a lot of alloying of my own gold, green gold, red gold, high carat red gold, and such. And one of the situations that I quickly came upon is that for many of these colored golds and carats, there's simply no solders that match the color. And so, out of pure need and desperation, I tried trial and error and succeeded to fusing different carats of gold, different colors of gold, so that in essence, many of the pieces I make, for those of you who don't know, are one of a kind engagement wedding rings. But in essence, when you fuse, you've got a seamless form. So there is no color seam. If you're doing additional construction or fabrication, there's no solder seams you have to worry about melting. It's just a really good way to go. And so what I'm going to be doing for the demonstration today is showing you how to fuse. This is going to be a very simple, about a 2.5 millimeter round, 18 karat gold band that I've recycled from some existing pieces, partially because gold is so expensive these days, also because it's some family heirlooms involved with the alloy that I've created. But one of the issues that I've discovered, and I'll talk a little bit more thoroughly about this when I get into the demonstration, is that after I fuse the piece, don't think of this as solder. It's not going to flow beautifully. I call it kind of a muddy surface where it's slightly raised. And so once I've done that, I will actually anneal the metal post fusing. and then I'll go ahead and shape and true up the roundness of the ring. Now, the reason I chose to do a ring or a simple band for today's demonstration is the simplicity of the object, and also just simply the understandable. We all know what a ring or a band looks like. Okay. So I
Jim,
tend to work with two. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're on a great flow, but let's talk about the science just a little bit before we move into close up of what you're doing there. Why would you anneal it after you've done the fusing?
Well, Gary, this is my own experience. Initially, when I began doing this, it would often crack at the seam when I was shaping or truing up the form of the band. And so, what I began to, and this is my own interpretation, looking at other things in nature, and metal is a natural object or a natural material. I was living on the coast of Oregon when I began to do this, and I began to look at lava flows in or near the water. And what I began to see is that lava that was cooled very quickly in water had a very granular, rough, jagged surface, which I began to parallel to that of metal as it has melted and begins to cool. And so by going in and annealing it, in my mind and my experience, it defines a little bit more cohesive crystalline structure, which again simply makes it more malleable for further constructing.
Okay,
Okay.
that's
Does that make sense,
yeah,
Gary?
it makes absolute sense. What I was going to say is I looked for a micrograph, in other words, an image created with a scanning electron microscope of a fused joint. And I was unsuccessful in that, but I found a lot of micrographs
Yeah.
on laser welded joints.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
since we don't have a fused image here, I'm not going to put one up, but if you can Google or do a search online for micrographs of fused joints, and a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
micrographs of laser joints will come up. And the crystalline structure differential between the fused area and the rest of the piece is very obvious. And so by annealing, and I saw a presentation at the Santa Fe Symposium one time where
Yeah.
they demonstrated, I think it was laser welding platinum. They had the micrograph of the weld, and it was obvious, the weld microstructure was obviously different from the rest. And then after annealing, it was homogeneous all the way around. So I really think you're
Yeah.
on the right
Yeah.
track with all that. So anyway,
You
sorry.
know, it is. No,
Okay.
no, no, no. Yeah, I'll bring in a little bit of a parallel on that as well. About 3 years ago, I occasionally do repair and restoration on jewelry, both historical and contemporary. And there was this platinum piece that there had been some previous repair done with a laser, and the prongs were actually brittle at the point where they had been rebuilt. And
Hmm.
so, after sorting through that, I annealed them, removing all the stones, obviously, because stones can't handle the heat that's involved with platinum. And then once I annealed it, then they worked beautifully. But yeah, for me, Gary, it's really been more of a trial and error, what has worked, what hasn't worked. And again, I've been doing this for very close to 30 years now. But it's a process and a technique that I use not daily, but often,
Right.
and it just works really beautifully. So again, what I'm going to be doing, you can do this, and I've tried this with basically any metal except for palladium. Palladium simply will not handle fusing with a torch. Platinum, yes. Palladium, white gold, absolutely, and beautifully. Um, Golds, sterling silver, white gold can be a little finicky because of the nickel content, um, but almost any metal you can make this work. And again, for a piece like this, it will give you a seamless form. So, so this is the piece. Basically, again, this was milled out square, and then I forged it into round. So you might notice some slightly irregular pattern to the surface from the planishing. What I've just used, I call it a preflux, but basically it's isopropyl alcohol. It's very similar to Prips flux with just a little bit of boric acid and borax in it. And then I also like to go in with just a little bit of self-pickling flux at the seam. Now, I'm working with the same material that has been alloyed. And one of the things, there's several things about this fusing that are absolutely critical, which I'm going to touch on. Keep in mind that the larger the snippets that you use are going to have more of a similar, well, it's the same metal, so it has exactly the same melting temperature. So, so I want you to really focus that if you go in with a large snippet, chances are that you will melt your original object or the object that you're creating. So with that in mind, you want to go in with small snippets of the same material. And what happens is if you're heating two pieces of metal that are exactly the same metal, the small mass is going to heat up faster and first. Okay. So we're going to come back in and let's see if I can't get this to stick. And if I can't, then I will. Okay, we'll do this. So I'm going to actually use the flux. This happens to be Battern's flux, but you could use, I think there's two or three on the market, but I love the self-pickling flux. Now, one of the things I want to really highlight is most of us have been taught, and I'm just going to illustrate what I'm referring to right now. This is what I don't want you to do. We use a very general flame and kind of a brush-like motion around the entire piece. Again, keep in mind, this is not solder. It has the same melting temperature. So if I were to do that, I would melt the entire piece. So what I'm actually going to do is use a little bit hotter, almost more of an oxidizing flame, and no brush like, no painting of the metal with the heat. Are you going to stay up there for me? No? Okay.
Let me
Okay. Then we're going to go this way. Yes.
speaking to your cameraman right now. The phone is focused on Jim's hands, not so much the piece itself. So we, because of the flame, we may not be able to see
We'll come
this
here.
actually happening.
That's
Uh,
okay. We're going to go in.
this is live.
There we
This
go.
is live demos, right?
This is live TV.
Yeah, live
But
TV.
what you want to do, again, keeping in mind that it's not solder, when that flows, you take the torch off. Can you see that?
Well, the flame is wiping it out, so we're not. The contrast
There
is
it is.
such that
Okay.
we're not being able to actually see it happen. But uh,
Okay.
yeah, there
Can
you
you see
go.
that?
Yeah, come back, just span out just a little bit, and you'll be in better focus. There
And
you
then I'm
go.
actually going to go through and just heat that just a touch.
A little on the
Yeah.
other side.
Okay.
Good.
Now, the crystalline structure is going to be very large at that point. And again, this has been from trial and error over the years. If I were to reshape this and true it up round, it would probably break at that seam. So I'm going to let this cool down just a bit. I
Hmm.
tend to use the alcohol-based flux to cool the piece, primarily because that it will cool the metal just a little bit more. I'm sorry, I didn't finish that phrase. A little bit more slowly
Hmm.
than water, than a water quench. In fact, for those of you who are annealing white gold, I suggest quenching in alcohol because, again, it cools the white gold just a little bit more slowly and gives you a little bit more malleability. Now I'm going to turn my bench light off. I've got a little bit of side light, so hopefully you'll be able to see this.
Okay, I'm going to suggest panning out just a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, better focus that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to anneal this. Now this, I am using that soft circular painterly motion.
Oxidizing flame, right?
Yeah,
Or excuse me, reducing flame, not oxidizing. What did I
more of
say
a
that?
reducing flame.
Yeah, reducing flame
Okay.
to like a straw red, right?
Yep, exactly. Gary, you've got the words. Man, I love it.
Well, it's I try and
So I'm
hang
going to
around
let
with.
that cool down. I like to, yeah, I prefer to let my metal cool down significantly
I was going to say you didn't quench
before I
right away.
quench.
That surprised me that you
No.
didn't quench right away.
Well, when I'm annealing silver, I actually like to let it air cool completely. But usually, no, usually when I'm annealing almost any metal, I like to let the red dissipate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm going to turn it, make sure that's cool. Okay, now, Emrys, I'm going to have you just keep that on me, maybe come in middle length so that you get my hands and my head as well. Now, this is just a Jim thing, but I tend to really like to use my wrists as natural pivot points, especially working on some type of a curvilinear surface, because it allows me to follow that irregular or that circular or curvilinear, however you want to say it, surface.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to try to shape this without reducing the thickness of where it has been fused, it would probably, well, it's going to be more resistant to forming. I won't say bending because we're really not bending, we're forming to create that smooth circular motion of the ring.
Let's try and pan out just a little bit because the focus got a little bit funky there for a minute.
Okay. So this is what we've got. And I actually need to get a mallet. So, Emrys, stay right there, please.
I'm not sure. Can you touch the focus on the camera screen? I don't know how, if you've got an iPhone. It's a little bit funky right now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Should
it's
we maybe change angles? Why don't you come over here? We're going to get off camera real quick.
there you go. Now you're in clear focus again. Appreciate that.
Okay. This might be a better view for people watching.
And you're
And
using
usually I,
is that a dead blow hammer?
so it is a dead blow mallet. Yeah. Yeah. This thing you probably can tell is about 25 years old, and I actually need to replace the faces.
Yeah.
But usually the task that I'm doing right now, I usually do on my stump, but I didn't want to move. Actually, I'm going to have you follow. We're going to do a jewelry cam in motion,
Okay.
though my camera is not following me. Follow me, camera.
Yeah.
So one of the things about my stump, you may be able to see these contours, and that will happen naturally with a task at hand. But when I'm shaping my bands, I like to intentionally place the oblong portion of the band within that groove. So as I'm tapping it, not only am I shaping the top portion of the band, but the stump, that contour, shaping the bottom portion.
Got you. Okay, maybe pan out just a hair. Better focus from a little bit of a distance. There you go.
So I'm not going to take the time to finish this off, but it's pretty close to round. You
All
can
right.
see obviously where some of the fusing has taken place, which obviously I would clean up with a small half round file and then sandpaper, a sanding stick. But again, it's right now it is a seamless form. And it just, for many of the reasons I mentioned earlier, it's one of my favorite techniques to use. And again, if you're working with some odd alloys such as coin silver, uh, a high carat gold, high carat red gold, if you alloy your own green gold with fine silver and gold, whatever the case might be, you don't have to worry about a matching solder. You can go in, it will be seamless, it will be totally the same color because it's the same metal. So, Gary, that's basically what I had set up for the demonstration.
That's
Do you have
perfect.
any questions or further insights?
Well, I was doing what I hope our audience will do at some point in time, and that's feel free to, break in with questions and clarifications when they're necessary. So
Right.
I'm pretty good. I think it was an excellent demonstration. We have a little issue with focus on your end, Jim, so
Okay.
you've been coming in off and on a little bit fuzzy. That's something we can work on for next time. Uh, but
Okay.
but all that being said, I think it was an excellent demonstration. I think there's a lot of value here for people. And now
Great.
just a
Well, I
brief moment for shameless self promotion. So go ahead. You're available for custom
well,
work in Bend, Oregon, right?
Custom work, but I'm also really attempting to promote my teaching much more.
Hmm.
Um, I've been trying to get together a summer workshop in Italy for the last couple of years, and because of the uncertainty of the economy and everything, we almost had to go last summer, but we needed two more people to make it fly.
Right.
I also offer some pre-recorded classes on flush setting and bead setting. And I'm in the process of putting together a broader catalog of recorded videos for purchase. And then also, I'm kind of in the mood to travel and teach workshops again. So if there's anybody with a school or a craft center around the country or even abroad, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And for myself, I also like to instruct. I would like to leave a little bit of a legacy in the industry that's been so good to me over the years. I teach CAD online, and I have a CAD course, a live CAD course, starting on February 9th. It's almost full. I think I have 10 students right now.
Oh,
There's room for
fantastic.
there might be room for a couple more in there. And not only that, I'm a Rhino reseller, and I offer a package of instruction along with Rhino that gives you a $100 discount off of buying the two items, instruction and Rhino 8 separately. So there's that, and then of course we're trying to make a go of this YouTube channel. I hope Jim will be a frequent contributor, and I can't think of anything else to say right now other than, oh yeah,
You know,
one. I'm sorry, one more thing I want to mention. Tucson Gym Show is coming up. I've talked several times about trying to get a gathering together. Unfortunately, I just heard from Joel McFadden yesterday, and
oh, shoot.
he will not be able to make it this year. He's got some things that came up that's going to prevent him from traveling. But I would still love to have a dinner with people. If if anybody wants to get together, get with me, and we'll figure out a day, time, and venue to get together at the Tucson Gym Show. Now, we have some live visitors and we have a couple of questions. Okay, so a
Yeah.
guy, D Main TB by, says, thanks, ready to give it a try. And then question any other alloys that don't work well with this technique.
Really, the big issue that I've experienced with all the metals that I've tried are metals that have issues with oxygen at high temperatures, and palladium is one of those.
Yeah.
If you're working with an inert atmosphere gas, argon, something like that, you could pull it off. But with an oxygen base, right now, I didn't say this, which I should have, so it ties in directly to your question. The demonstration I just did was working with propane oxygen, which something a parallel but definitely ties into all that is if you are ever working with fabricating a platinum or palladium, I definitely suggest working with propane or a natural gas rather than acetylene. Acetylene is a very dirty, high carbon fuel, and that carbon can cause a lot of porosity and brittleness to those metals. But other than the palladium, and I will stress that palladium white gold fuses beautifully. It's just incredible. But palladium by itself is the only metal that I've come across as far as the precious metal used in jewelry. Okay.
I can add to that just a little bit. I cast platinum, and because I cast platinum, I cast all my oil alloys with a hydrogen oxygen torch, and that works very good. But
Mm.
at
Hmm.
liquidus, palladium absorbs hydrogen, and so
Oh, I didn't know that.
I tried casting palladium gold by hooking up a propane torch, and that it still didn't work for me very well. I think for casting
Huh.
palladium, which is a different thing than fusing, probably a good
Hmm.
idea to have a neutral, a gas cover, inert gas cover, and some other stuff in place, which
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
have. I'm
Hmm.
casting
Hmm.
with a torch
Hmm.
all the time. Anyway, D
Yeah.
Main is still with us and says thanks for the
Oh, you
response
bet.
to that, and And that's exactly how it's supposed to work, folks. Thanks for coming in. I'm really glad that you're watching this live. And this will be archived on YouTube once I get a chance to maybe clean up the video a little bit. It should be posted later today. And it will also be posted on my Substack. And
Mhm.
Substack then automatically crosses over to Spotify. So there's three locations
Gary,
where you'll be able to see this video. Yes, sir.
Gary, two questions. First, with Rhino, I've been a Mac user for years. Is Rhino cross-platform?
It is now. Actually, there's
Okay.
for a long time there's been a Mac version of Rhino, but I discouraged Mac users from taking my course because I teach on a PC, and the difference between the
Oh,
Mac
okay.
version, the difference between the Mac version and the PC version was pretty substantial. However, now with the current version of Rhino, Rhino 8, they have done a real good job of merging the two platforms. Um, and because of that merger, I'm now welcoming Mac students into my course, and
Fantastic.
it's much easier, I think, for everybody to communicate back and forth across platforms.
Well,
Now,
I'll have to talk to you on that. Yes.
there's more good news. Melody Yeager says, my day job has me casting platinum plus alloy, which is nasty. We have to clean the torch tips before casting. Melody, I would ask
Uh,
you if you're still with us here, what gas or how are you casting this? Are you doing it with a torch? And if so, what gases are you using? Let's see if we get a response here from her.
okay. And Gary, I did have one other quick thing to mention is that when Gary invited me to do the demonstration today, this was the first one I thought of, but something that would help Gary and all of us that are going to be involved with this is if you ever have something, a topic, a problem, I would reach out to Gary and, we could probably put together some solutions for you.
Well, that's absolutely correct. Not only do we want feedback during these live broadcasts, but we'd love to get feedback about topics you'd like to see covered, specific people that you'd like to see come on the podcast. I know a lot of people in the industry, and I think I could probably, if there was interest, get a variety of talent on here. Um, and so Melody 6076 has not replied yet to the
Okay.
question of what how she's casting that platinum. So we'll see. Let me just
Yeah.
scroll over here in the chat just to make sure I'm not missing something. No, but I'm very pleased that we actually have some live participants today, and
Absolutely.
I think we're about done with the content. Hopefully, Melody, you can come in with comments after this is posted as a regular YouTube video post, and then we can continue. Oh, here we go. Big torch, oxygen, and propane, casting at close to 2,500. I'm assuming that's Fahrenheit. Yeah, okay. I've not tried to cast platinum with propane, and I'm not 100% sure of the
Mhm.
solubility of propane in platinum at Liquidus. Oh,
Yeah.
dental alloys. Okay, here's a person doing dental alloy. Very
Wow.
interesting. Okay. If it's if you have the ability, I would suggest maybe trying hydrogen as your torch gas
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
casting that, because that I get beautiful castings. Is I would have to say that
Are
my
you,
platinum castings generally are as good as about any platinum, any casting house
so
that I've
Gary,
seen.
are you working with a hydrogen torch with that or just hydrogen in a tank?
Well, hydrogen oxygen.
Got it.
It's not. I use acetylene at the bench because I grew up in a welding shop in Southern
Right.
Oregon, and the acetylene works great. I love the heat at the bench, but
And like it hot, I hear.
yeah, I like it hot. And people say acetylene is a very dirty gas. Well, yeah, it is if only acetylene's burning. But if you learn how to tune your torch, it
Crinkly.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, introduce a little oxygen into the mix. Oh, Platinum Plus is mostly cobalt. Okay, cobalt. Yeah.
Oh,
I
interesting.
actually don't work with I work with 10% iridium platinum and don't like cobalt. I've tried doing repairs on cobalt castings and it's just horrible. It's not very bench friendly. So I can understand how
Mm-hmm.
casting it would be an issue. I'm not sure hydrogen is going to solve your problem with cobalt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, all my casting is done with hydrogen because I don't cast palladium white alloys. If I absolutely have to have one of those, I'll send it out um, to somebody. Okay. Well, listen, thanks everybody. I
All
think
right.
we've about burned up our time here. Melody and let me scroll up here. Melody and D Main, thank you so much for participating live. It's exactly the kind of thing that we want to have happen. I
Yeah.
hope this grows and we can create real value for the industry. So thanks again, Jim. I'm going to stop streaming here in
You're
just a
welcome,
second,
Gary.
and we'll talk to you again
Okay.
soon. Okay, bye bye.
Thanks.